So this was a field back in 1997 when I found this property. I was doing all these deals in the area. That deal actually, I think, was 1998, the one we just came from. But I was looking for a place to put my RE/MAX office. I bought the failing RE/MAX here in Spanish Fork and renamed it. And I wanted a state-of-the-art, beautiful building to bring people to and to recruit agents into. One of the best office facility in the county, right? Brand new. So I started looking around, and this property really appealed for me for a couple of reasons. The first one is the frontage on Highway 6 right there. The traffic there is unbelievable. The amount of traffic here, the access to I-15. If you go right out here, it's less than a mile to I-15 right there, just off of Highway 6. And they didn't have all the things that it has now, but this was a Smith's grocery store, and it was a commercial retail area. And this guy right here owned the property. He'd owned it for 20 years, and he lived in Bakersfield, California. And I thought, man, that would be perfect for an office. Oh my gosh, I should put my office right here. And the other thing was I lived right over the freeway. Right over the freeway. Lived right over the freeway. So this was named Madison Park. By the way, this is the Madison name and real estate project has not been in service since this project. So we're naming the other project we're doing in Spanish Fork as Madison Park. I haven't named a project after my oldest for a while. Hunter has quite a few buildings named after him. But this was Madison Park, and I went to the city, and I want to teach you something that you never do. Here's a law of development, okay? I call this guy in Bakersfield. I say, hey, I'm looking for a commercial piece of land. Are you interested in selling? His response was, man, I forgot I own that. And I go, do you still own it? And he goes, yeah, I think so. And I said, well, if you're not sure, I can make sure you don't own it. I can sign a deed. And I was joking with him, right? But he said, I forgot I own that. He goes, I haven't gotten a call on that property in 10 years. What are you calling me for? I said, well, I would like to see if you're interested in selling. I'm going to go meet with the city. And if it's zoned appropriately, I'd like to make you an offer. What are you looking for a price? And the price was, I don't remember what the price was. It's been so many years. But I put the property under contract, or I called him, was so excited, went straight to the city. The city planner knew me. We had done a number of deals together, smaller stuff. We weren't to this deal yet over here, or this one, which are my bigger ones, early in Spanish Fork. And I went to the city planner, and he said, you got another property? And I said, yeah, here it is. And I gave him the address, and I said, what can I do here? Well, he pulled out the zoning code, pulled out the plans, pulled out all the code and the ordinances, and of course I had looked at it preliminarily. And I was excited. That was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I decided I'd call the seller in the morning. And I called him the next morning at 10 o'clock here, which was 9 o'clock in California. And I said, hey, the property works. I can live with your price. I'd like to write you an offer. And he goes, I'm not going to be able to do that. And I said, why is that? And he said, since 4 o'clock yesterday, I've gotten 4 phone calls. What? Yesterday afternoon and this morning. So the city planner was the only person I talked to, called all the people that he was working with or had interest with or were doing something for him, who knows what. I was devastated. I said, what do you mean you got 4 calls? You told me yesterday you haven't had a call in 10 years. He goes, yeah, I've been getting a steady stream of calls. What did you do? And I was like, oh my gosh, that guy ratted me out. That city planner ratted me out. That guy's a jackwagon. So I called the city planner and I rehearsed him what happened. I said, are you creating a conflict of interest here? I mean, I was furious, right? And he just hummed and hawed around. And I said, I can't believe this. I will never trust you again. I thought you were my friend and I thought you were a professional, and I hung up on him. So angry. So I called the Bakersfield guy back, and now I'm raising the earnest money. I'm cutting my terms. I'm cutting my own throat. He said, I got another offer coming in. And I said, look, dude, I'm the reason this is going to sell. You're asking a price that's hard for me to get to. What's your fax number? And he gave me the fax number. I said, stay right there. I faxed him the offer. We went through it on the phone, and I said, look, bird in the hand. I'm the guy. I'm going to build an office here. I got all kinds of stuff here. I live across the freeway. Sign the offer. And he did. He signed the offer and sent it back. And I was like, whew. So to this day, we never, ever give the city an address of a property we don't have under contract. We never talk to the city about an address of a property that we don't have under contract. Never. They will sell you out. And I don't know what's going on behind the scenes because I've never participated in that, but there's things happening behind the scenes in every city. So if I have a piece of property here, I see what zone it is, I see what areas the city has this zone, and I go in and say to the city planner, can you pull out the planning map? See this zone right here? It's here, here, and here. I'm looking at properties in these 4 spots. Tell me what I could do. Walk me through the process. Walk me through the zone, walk me through the ordinances. And so he has no clue which pocket it's in or which property that it is. Oh, if you tell me the property, I can dial it in a little better for you. Well, that's the thing. I'm starting my look. As soon as I have something a little more buttoned up, then I'll come back. Got to do your homework. And back then, I used to do a lot of the due diligence beforehand, but I didn't know all the right things to ask. That wasn't going to stop me. It wasn't going to hold me back. So this right here is my first RE/MAX office, the RE/MAX office that I bought. And we had some great guys come down here. In fact, Kenny Parcells still offices here. He's got these 2 pieces. This was originally zoned as an office condominium, which at the time was pretty cutting edge. These were office condos. We did 12 condos. So there was a 3-plex here. There's a duplex right there. Then next to that duplex, there was another duplex. Behind this 3-plex, there's a 3-plex that goes this way. And then over in this part, there was another duplex. Well, my whole goal here was to start a power team for real estate. So I moved in here. My mortgage company moved in here. My title company moved in here. The insurance company we used moved over there. And we were going to fill this up. This is going to be a real estate center. You pull in and you get all your services. We were going to put a builder, and we were going to put some of the subs. We were going to put architects and engineers. This was going to be a professional real estate center. And interestingly, things changed for me a little bit. I owned this from 1997 to, I think, 2003. And I sold this was called RE/MAX Peaks. And I sold it to RE/MAX Results. Bob Alfin, they had several offices, quite a big outfit, and they bought the office from me. And I went and split off on my own and started Watson Alliance Realty. And that's when the whole seminar system started, just after that. I'm like, I'm doing all these developments and investments and properties like these. I don't have a huge clientele, and I don't care to. And I'd have all these listing appointments and buyers, and I'm like, man, I don't know if this is for me. This is just not fun chasing people around. So I created my own economy. So again, what do you notice here? I told you this was 12 office condominiums, 2 3-plexes and 3 duplexes approved in 1997. Got a triplex here and a duplex. And when I moved, the spirit of this place moved. In fact, the 3 units behind here, a gentleman came to me. He was a neurosurgeon. He was a professor at the University of Utah, and he had a dream of opening a neurosurgeon, I don't remember what he called it, but as a neurosurgeon center where he would have patients flying from around the country at very specific trainings. He wanted to get permission to have in the main building here the training, and they had corpses and all the medical stuff, and then he wanted to create living quarters for the students that he would have there, and they'd come in for 2 weeks at a time. And so he bought the lots from me, and the 3 pads he brought in the back were more than 2 times what I paid for the property. So just the 3 pads in the back out of 12 was more than I paid for the whole property, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. So sold that to him. He didn't end up doing his school. I don't know what happened to the property since then. I know Kenny has tried to buy it a number of times. I've actually tried to buy this a number of times. We didn't want to be in our Springville office so long. I didn't want to come this far south with as much business as we do north, especially in Ogden. But this is right here on Highway 6. We can zip out to I-15. I've tried a number of times the last couple of years to buy that piece right there and build our office. But some guys got a hold of that, and off they went. So just because you see a higher and better use and you profit from it, I sold that duplex lot in the corner. I sold the 3-plex lot here. I kept this one right here for myself until I ended up selling that later. The vision left, and somebody who was going to push this and promote this wasn't here anymore. And here we are about 27 years later, 28 years later, and these buildings still aren't built. They're built. They're permitted, but not built. So I bring people here to show you what. You're going to see stuff all day that other people didn't see. And oftentimes, even when you show it to them, they're unwilling to see it. Pretty interesting, right?